I'm here with the Illuminati Chronicles. Well, it actually says Italian, but maybe Italian Illuminati. Okay. Um, I know some of you are environmentalists and you worry about burning fossil fuel. What a stupid worry. What a stupid worry. On planet Earth, we've been burning fossil fuel since, let's say, 1900. And if you think of the vast quantities that have been burned in 119 odd years, and then I hear people say, well, we have to have a carbon tax to get people to stop driving. I see prime ministers hopping on the jet to fly from one end of the country to the other so they can take selfies in every city. You can look it up. You can go and look up how many flights of airlines there are in a single day. And you know that airliners burn incredible amounts of jet fuel. If you see a city the size of Chicago or Los Angeles, and you think of the number of people there and the number of people of cars that are driving around, New York City cabs driving around, across the interstates, all the transport trucks that move every day, and you try and fathom how much fossil fuel has been burned in 119 years. Well, and before that, they burned coal for heat and for probably for industrial purposes, but for heat. And before that, they burned wood for heat. In the 1970s, they said we had an energy crisis. We were going to run out of oil. If you can fathom how much oil has come out of Mother Nature in 119 years, all the countries on this planet, it's hard to fathom that that much oil could have been in the earth in the first place. I was going to tell you a story about a relative of mine who, because he had started off in the baking business, liked to keep his eye on bread, and he was involved with delivery of bread, so he liked to be in the trucking business. And he was always looking for ways to make things work, so he was always interested in government subsidies. Somehow, the economics of fossil fuel trucking and fossil fuel flying, air freight, were such that he could take a loaf of bread from central Minnesota, truck it north to Ontario, across all of northern Ontario, due east into the province of Quebec, load it onto an aircraft for air freight, and then send that loaf of bread north towards the Arctic Circle. If you are worried about burning fossil fuel, I give you that particular jaunt of that loaf of bread from central Minnesota that ended up going halfway around the world. It did have a government subsidy on the air freight part of it. I cannot think of anything more ludicrous than taking a loaf of bread from central Minnesota in the United States and driving it north through the whole of northern Ontario, due east to the province of Quebec, putting it onto a plane and flying it north towards the Arctic Circle so it could be eaten, only a couple of days stale, but by somebody in some northern, probably a Indian reserve. Where maybe they paid $32 for that loaf of bread. Nothing is more ludicrous, nothing is more asinine. But I give you these examples to say um, there's nothing more ludicrous than planet Earth. And worrying about it, I know it seems to happen, and people say, I worry about this and I worry about that. But, truly, there is nothing but why? Why do you worry about it? Do you want to change the world? This world is too big for you to make any impact on it whatsoever, other than coming up with something more ludicrous than the story of a loaf of bread traveling from Minnesota through all of northern Ontario into Quebec onto a plane and being flown way up north to a northern Eskimo Indian reserve. I'm Franklin T. Jackass, and I am a Canadian.